Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Health Made Simple Show. I'm your host, Dr. Bart, and today, another great podcast. We're going to dive into this conversation about, is it getting easier or harder to get healthy here in 2026? And I think the answer may surprise you a little bit, what I have to say. Anyway, so let's dive right in here. So as I go through this conversation here, think about your personal health, your position on health right now, the things that you're doing, not doing, everything to do with how you move, how you eat, how you think, how you sleep, all of these things. Put those all on the table right now, and then let's have this conversation about, is it easier or harder as we move forward to get healthy? So let's start right off with some of the pros and cons, and we'll do this in a couple different categories. When it comes to data right now, that's top of the list for everyone. It is easier to access data. This is actually, these last couple months, never mind years, these last couple months, it's been fascinating to see how quickly and easily we can get data and then also get it analyzed, meaning that you can get your labs and upload those to ChatGPT and get pretty good information back, pretty solid information. And I feel month after month, it's getting better and better. We've been utilizing that for a little while. And for a while, we had to really keep our eyes on it because it was coming back 50-50. Yet now it's getting more and more, I don't know if I want to call it smarter, but it's becoming more and more accurate based on some of the views and some of the approaches that I take as a holistic practitioner. And holistic, again, thinking of, we believe there's a very foundational philosophy here. And if you haven't heard me talk about your philosophy and how critical it is for your health today and moving forward, let's take a quick moment here. At some point, everyone has a philosophy about their health, and understanding that is a very important thing because that's going to help you make certain decisions. So, for example, I 100% fully in on, I will die on the hill that the power that made the body heals the body, and that we are a self-healing, self-regulating mechanism. We are this very, very powerful group of cells that knows how to heal itself and regulate itself. Our job is to do the best that we can to get out of the way, stop punishing it, stop putting poisons in it, and let it do its beautiful thing, which is constantly in a healing state. So power that made the body heals the body. It's part of my philosophy. It's part of the philosophy that I bring into my care for patients, for you guys. And so for you to adopt a philosophy, and it can have a mix of different things. You might have a philosophy about the human body, then I also have a philosophy that in emergencies, then I do X, Y, and Z. But non-interference to me means that, hey, listen, if I have a head cold, I'm not going to just suck back some NyQuil and interfere with the process that's taking place. Does that mean that I might suffer during that head cold? Yes, but it'll also mean that I will probably avoid getting a head cold more frequently, or I'll be much more intentional about avoiding that head cold because I don't like them and I also don't want to take the NyQuil. So a philosophy, if you don't have one, it means that you will bounce. You will bounce the next person that sells the next best thing you're bouncing. And maybe you just chuckle to yourself and said, hey, that's me. I try everything and I do a little bit of everything. I'm not anchored in anything. Well, maybe today it just starts to begin that conversation with yourself. What do you truly believe in? If you cut your arm, do you believe that it's going to heal by itself? Have you given any credit to your creator for creating such a system that is so perfect in development that it can heal from just about everything? And most of the time, our job is just to support it, but not to deny it. All right. With that being said, data nowadays is very, very easy to come by. In fact, there's some data. That's everything from the wearables. You might wear an Oura Ring to a Garmin watch, and you're getting data nonstop, to labs, to information online, or information via AI, or information via social media networks. All of this information is pouring into the body. Into our minds. And this is fantastic. But there's a challenge there. So that part, I would say, that become easier. But what has made this even more difficult in 2026 is the interpretation of, what do I do with all this information? Where do I start? And that is where it becomes more and more important that you find somebody in your health world that is going to act as your quarterback. And this is the role that we've stepped into in our clinic, that we have now decided that this is the role that we're going to have to play, because we have more and more people nowadays. This is surprising. I didn't really see this coming. More and more people that have more confusion with all of this data. Should I be taking peptides? What supplements? What should I cold plunge? Should I sauna? Which one? Yes, no. Because if you're watching social media, every time we see something good, there's someone else that's going to debate it that it's not so good. And I don't know that either one of those are wrong. And the reason that is because each one of us is different. So a cold plunge for a man is different than a woman. A cold plunge for someone with a thyroid condition is certainly not the same for someone who doesn't have a thyroid condition. So we could go on and on about the pros and cons. The challenge is that with massive amounts of data and information coming in comes a little bit of overwhelm. Overwhelm means confusion. Confusion often leads to inactivity. So that right there says that there's a chance in 2026, even with all this data coming about, that people are going to be a little bit stagnant with their health. And I'm here to say we don't want to do that. It's really just finding a way to coordinate all of these things, essentially get yourself a quarterback to run the place. Then you take all the action. There's some other things. Let's go through some other pros and cons here. Thinking about the environment nowadays, that gets really tricky really fast. I would say in 2026 that even though we have some incredible things going on with MAHA, making America healthy again, there's a lot of room to catch up because there's so many things that are already wrong with our environment. The chemicals we spray on our foods and the crops, the damage that have been done to the soils in our country. You go to a grocery store today and you smell the perfumes and the chemicals they use to keep the place clean. Environmentally, we are far worse off than probably we've ever been. We have more forever chemicals in our environment now than we've ever been exposed to in our lives, which means that we're taking on more toxins than we ever have. Now, if I flip the other side of that coin as a practitioner, I'm as excited about the mechanisms and the understanding that we have about detox nowadays as much as I've ever been. Since the last couple of years, we've always known there's phenomenal things like milk thistle, there's saunas, there's actions we can take, there's things we can take. We see so much information the last couple of years about NAD and then glutathione and so many things that really we understand with science and data to elevate our game to be able to detox the system. One of the conversations that's coming up more and more now, and especially as a chiropractor, this is close to my heart and all the chiropractors listening, is nervous system dysregulation. We'd like to have nervous system regulation, but more often than not, we're seeing what's called nervous system dysregulation, where the nervous system, for the most part, is dysregulated, often stuck in fight or flight, which is a sympathetic dominant state. And in this state, very challenging for the body to maintain good health over long periods of time. And the biggest challenge here is we've normalized batshit crazy. That's what we've done with our lifestyles, how early we get up, how late we go to bed, and how much we achieve through the course of the day. More often than not, we're keeping our body in sympathetic dominance nonstop, and we've normalized it. Unfortunately, this does have a detrimental effect accumulatively over time on the human body and human performance and human function, whether it be our minds, our body, our skin, our detox pathways. All of those things start to be affected. So now we look at 2026, we go, the environment worse off, but we have more strategies for detox. We look at the stress levels higher than they ever have been, but we have so many tools. Frankly, an old school chiropractic adjustment may be one of the absolute best things that you could do for nervous system dysregulation. Each time you get adjusted, you relax the central nervous system. It's a reset, especially if you get adjusted in your upper thoracic, upper cervical area. That resets the vagus nerve, and you really are doing a tremendous for your overall body central nervous system every time you get adjusted. Then we have simple breathing techniques that we even see now science backing, that if you can control your exhale and you slow down your exhale, you immediately swing the pendulum from the sympathetic dominant state into parasympathetic state with rest and digest. So again, here we have this little dichotomy of some goods and bads. Then we have some other things. We talked about the detoxing, of course. Then we have all these different herbs like glutathione and milk thistle. So if I'm wrapping all this up, then I was to say, what do I really think 2026 has in store for us? Well, because there's so much data available. I'll just give you one more example here. Right now in the marketplace, you can go out online. This didn't exist years ago, and you can order without a doctor. You can order your labs. This is kind of cool. You can get data for yourself. And I have a lot of our clients that we see do that. They bring in the labs to me, even though they've already had someone kind of look at them. When things are done on a massive, very scalable kind of method, right? So thousands of people are getting the labs done, and then they're getting all this responses back through basically an AI tutorial. Is it personal? No. And that's where it falls short. So we love the fact that more and more people are getting data. The challenges, and you might be listening to this right now and saying, I signed up for one of those programs. It was very affordable. And then they basically sent me an email, or I had a quick meeting about what supplements to take because of my labs. But what happens in those, and I know firsthand because I decided to experiment with it myself, they don't know how stressful your day was. They don't know, say you have a history of Hashimoto's. if you went sideways for a little bit and had one night of gluten, and that's all it takes, one night, and you could take those antibodies through the roof, that stuff will never be exposed when we're doing all of this fast data. The personalized experience, being able to sit down with a practitioner about your health and dive in deep for your personal needs, that's the part that I don't see getting any. Well, I think it's going to get better, but it's going to become less common. I think that is going to be the differentiating point. Less and less practitioners are going to be having that personalized service. And for us, it's kind of our mainstay to keep it personalized. It's how we practice. We don't have a large practice in the sense that we can't take thousands upon thousands of people. That's why when people come to work with us, we typically have people that want to kind of get to work on their well-being, working a little bit better on how they move, how they eat, how they think, pulling in that philosophy with all the approaches that they take. And then we get to go to town. Then we get to utilize all the data, all of the wearables, the Oura rings, the watches, the in-body scales, the visceral fat measurements, the body fat measurements, all the labs, every one of them. We get to look at insulins and all the different things that are available for us and then apply it to the human being that sits in front of you. And that, I think, is the big difference moving forward. If you haven't yet started to look around to find your quarterback for your team, I think that's one of the things for 2026. Who's that team? What's your team going to look like? And you should build a team. There should be someone in a quarterback role, and there should be someone that plays wide receiver and a lineman, meaning this. You have different practitioners that are capable of doing different things, but there should be somebody that's helping you coordinate the big picture. So that's what we love doing. And if we can do that for you, we'd love to do it. You certainly can just send us a message. I'll make sure there's a link down below if you want to do any of that, have a consult with us, or even run labs with us. We certainly can do that. All right, with that being said, a little food for thought today. This was just a little food for thought, philosophically thinking about, is 2026 going to make it easier? And with all of these things coming, with AI, and it's coming faster and faster, there'll be no slowing it down. And it can either be a good thing or a bad thing, or it can be a little bit of both. And how we choose to do it will be kind of a moving target or a moving experiment. But I do know this, that if you're going to choose to collect all that data, do your best not to get overwhelmed and find someone that can support you in bringing all these pieces together. Because if you do that, the future looks bright when it comes to health. I've never been more excited about the possibilities, especially if you're a little bit older, you're 40, 50, 60, 70 plus years old. I think the future looks as bright now for our future health if we're willing to pull it all together and put the right tools in place. I think the future looks bright. All right, with that being said, folks, you keep doing your thing, keep sharing us out, keep spreading the love. Thank and appreciate all of you that are doing that. You're leaving the comments, you're liking and sharing these podcasts with people. And of course, keep doing your thing. Keep leveling up. Make sure you're taking a little bit of care of your mind, your body, overall wellness. God be awesome.